tuned into the most unpredictable podcast on the World Wide Web.
It's about to shut it down.
It's Say It Loud, hosted by Karen Hell.
Hey!
Across all major platforms, and you are locked in.
You are locked in. You know what it is.
Pour up a glass of wine, ladies. Let the Henny flow, fellas. And get ready to turn the fucking speaker up to lit scatter. It's Karen Hell live on Say It Loud Radio on your favorite internet platform, streaming live.
I have a button for that. I just like to do it at the end of my podcast. It is Karen L of Say It Loud Podcast, your favorite gilf. And I'm here today with the Setting Jasmine and King Noor of Royal Fetish Films. I thought I would bring them on because you guys ask me all the questions like I have the answers, and I don't. I learn from the professionals and I ask the questions to the professionals. So if you're going to ask me, I'm going to ask them, and I brought them right to you so that we can share this space and talk about what it is they do and all the things that you wanted to ask them and you want to know, but you're just scared to ask. So your girl's going to be in the hot seat asking all the questions for the people, and they're going to answer them for you. So welcome. Thank you guys for joining us on Say It Loud Podcast. I appreciate you so much for being here.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
So for the people who don't know who you are, can you guys tell them who you are? I don't know how they don't know, by the way, because I feel like everybody should know, but you know, there's a certain place and a certain niche where people kind of go and they find their people. But I want you to tell them exactly who you are and what you guys do, because I feel like it's so valuable to our community.
Thank you. I am Setting Jasmine, one half of Royal Fetish Films.
And I am King Noir.
And we are the owners of both Royal Fetish Films, which is a full entertainment. I'll let King tell you tell it so good.
What?
We'll tell that last.
We're gonna talk about King too.
We're gonna talk about all of it, but we own Setting Jasmine LLC, which is a sex education company and entertainment company, and I am a psychotherapist over at Blue Pearl Therapy, where I own and operate. Okay, well, you tell them about the
you're busy, man. You got your hands full.
Yeah, and we also own Royal Fetish Films, which is clearly a Black-owned fetish and film company, and award-winning, both in front of and behind the camera. We also are master fetish trainers, so we help people not only discover but experience their fetishes in a healthy, safe, and orgasmic way. We put together events all over the world. We're about to be doing kink in Costa Rica. We have a U.S. tour, well, a North American tour planned. So we are going to be most likely in your city fucking shit up in a good way. So come through.
Yeah, see, you do from this point out.
You can just do the commercials from now on. So let's start from the beginning, right? Because I really like to be a storyteller and kind of take people on a journey when they. It's frozen on my end too.
Okay, that's good to know. Thank you for saying something, because I thought it was us.
Hello?
Yeah, you
froze on us.
For both of
us. I don't know what happened, but we're just gonna keep going.
Y'all getting some of that storm up there, huh?
Yeah, it's supposed to snow, they said.
Yeah, it's really bad upstate, so it might be working its way towards y'all.
You're freezing again. Tiana, can you see the chat?
I'm on post-production. All right.
Yes, I can.
Okay, cool.
All right, so we're just gonna keep going and hope for the best. Post-production. So let's start with educating people on what kink is.
So the way that I like to explain it is kink is a big, huge umbrella of sexual and intimate acts that the larger society does not deem to be regularly acceptable, maybe, or regularly, I should say, like sexually frequented. So I don't like to say abnormal or any of those kind of words that are exclusive, but maybe that the general society does not consider to be a part of their regular routine of sexual behaviors. And it's a really, really, really large umbrella, because when we think of things that are kinky in relationship to the culture that we live in, that's like anything that's not missionary sex.
Through a hole in the sheet.
Through a hole in the sheet between a man.
That's anything that's not vanilla.
White man and a white woman.
Correct.
Right.
A skinny white man and a skinny white woman.
With blonde hair.
Right.
And blue eyes.
And no lotion.
And no lips.
But it's true, right? It is true. There's a bunch of people that are walking around going, well, like, my identity is tied to what I was taught sexually, right? Or what I saw on media, or what I learned somewhere in my life. And it's just like, yeah, no, that's not what everybody does. That's not how it is. And you know, just like everything else that we see, it's kind of like framed for a certain person in a certain way. And that's just that. And I think sex and sexuality right now is kind of at this pivotal point where it's kind of like, well, we don't all want to do that no more.
For sure.
Or we haven't been doing that. We don't want to be ashamed of it anymore.
Yeah. Right.
You know?
We don't want to have to keep that to ourselves. Because if you're putting out your boring through the hole in the sheet shit, I should also be able to share who I am.
Right. And it gets hard to meet people that are into what you're into if you can't say what you're into.
Yeah.
Right.
You know?
Right. Well, yeah,
So,
if you don't have an identity and you can't verbalize and understand yourself, then how can you share that with somebody else and have conversations in comfortable spaces to do that? So I think that's really important. So let's talk about royal fetish films. How did the fetish then move into the film work?
Well, we started doing parties all over the world. We were doing fantasy flight parties, and the primary group of people who were booking us were Black folk, especially Black women, who are like, I do not see myself represented when I watch porn. I do not feel good about the porn that I see that does have Black people in it. Either we are the fetish instead of engaging in the fetishes, or, you know, it's some racist shit. It is
right.
terribly produced and lit, and there's still no lotion. And with what we were doing, I had already been a sex worker and been in some films and been done some online stuff, and people were just asking us, well, what y'all gonna do about it, basically. And one day we were at FetCon, I think, for the first one, or no, we were in Jersey for the first one. And Jasmine was just kind of like, yeah, I'd be comfortable. We had a submissive who was a photographer, and we were like, yo, how about you just record it on video? And it was shot very beautifully, and I don't even think our faces were in it too much, but it was kind of like all the things that you don't see that you like to see, like Jasmine's hand on my back and her nails in my back, or gripping of the sheets, or me gripping her hips. And Jazz looked at it and was like, "Ooh, I look good. Let's do this again." So we did another film at FetCon one year, and then we entered it into the award show. And it was voted on. It was called Orally Yours. It was voted on, and it won. And that was our first like full scene that we had ever put together. Also shot by a sub.
A woman.
A woman, and both were shot by women and
of color.
Women of color. And both would probably identify as queer also. So it was like, these are perspectives that you do not see in porn.
Right.
People that you don't see in porn. In ways that you don't see, like even how we engaged in one another. It was pleasure focused on not just, you know, King Nuts, it's over.
Right.
It was like,
but that's the reality of it, right?
Pleasure as well. Yeah, that is the reality. Most porn does end when the man comes, right?
Right.
So we turned a lot of things on its head, and then from there, people just started seeking us out, and it just kept on expanding from there.
That's amazing. Think about it. It's like we didn't think about it. They gave it to us. Like they threw y'all the alley-oop and was like, here, take this and take what you're doing and then just go run with it.
But it's really interesting because we were told as we were going and running with it, at first, I mean, we knew that we knew what we wanted to create, but wasn't sure exactly like how some things were not set up how they are now, like OnlyFans or like how you can create your own studio online. And people were saying that were already in this industry, like that there's not a market for it, that people are not looking for like Black romance or Black kink with like Black on Black kink. They're looking for Black on Black crime, but not Black on Black.
That's a whole nother show.
It is. And I know that we cover that, right? So, but we had the audience already. The audience was
literally telling us.
Like we want to see that. Like, how can we get more of that? How can I show my man how to do this?
This was literally porn farm to table. You know
right.
what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And we continue to listen to our audience as long as it's within our boundaries. And if it's not within our boundaries, we work with other performers, in which it is to bring those fantasies to life.
I love it. I think that there needs to be a place for that. I think that there needs to be, well, first of all, I love production and I love film, but even more so, because that's what my background is in, but even more so shot from the perspective of Black and brown people, because I do feel like the things that the eye that I have is not the eye that everybody else has, right? And so that glass bowl looks different when somebody else is on the other end of it. But then also when it comes to like sex, and it's like, okay, this is real, and this is what people want to see. We're going to give them what they want to see, right? And I think that opens a door and a window to people, to especially for fetish and identity, where you're like, you know what? I want to stick my toe in, and then I want to put my foot in, and then I want to get to my knee, and then because hopefully that's how it starts, right? And
Jasmine has done that.
And you're like, oh snap, and you're engaged, but you have to have that, you need that vehicle in between. And so I think film, I think not just regular film, but this kind of film gives an opportunity to do that. So shout outs to both of you for doing that, and doing that with full production of people from the LGBTQ community as well as people of color, because they need to be behind the camera a lot more, telling our stories. So I appreciate that. So what's next for the film company?
More awards and shit.
Yeah.
We actually,
shit, that's it.
We've been expanding our means of production. We have, so like on our first shoots, we didn't have a stylist. Now we got Glittosaurus Rex making sure everybody's fly and
everybody
sexy.
looks straight Wakanda on
All day, you know what I'm saying? So I think like we've continued to grow, and before Jasmine and I had ever even met, like I went to school and I learned film production from, shout out NJCU and PCCC. It's something I've always been interested in, and being able to now express these things that both of us were like, what Jasmine from her perspective as a consumer, like, this is what I don't see. This is why I have to mute it. This is why So we've like been like, okay, well, what do we need more of? Oh, well, we've been expanding into like sapiosexual films as well, where it's just like, how do we bring connection between these two people that people are like, oh, they're hot, we want to see them fuck. But what can we do to make it even deeper? Because some people want to feel that connection and that tension. And then, well, what are we going to do with our lighting and our camera movement? Shit, we just keep growing and building and trying to shoot in more creative ways, not just from a technical aspect, but creative from ways of storytelling, because porn storytelling is different than a 3-hour film. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, how can we make people have a connection to these characters, even if they're only here for this porn clip,
at this amount of time.
The other thing that we're doing from a production end is we're raising the standards for other companies around us. You sure are.
I
mean, and I'm not going to be humble
You
right
ain't
now.
gotta be.
Okay, good.
You
It's
don't gotta
just
be humble.
say it
Say
loud.
Gotta be
it.
humble.
Say it.
Okay. So I mean, doing this work and shooting, every scene and going into season and season and seeing our own production has been wonderful. It's been great to hear people's careers change. Working with us on a different standard, it's been great seeing our own personal and professional growth. But there's something to be said when you want your colleagues to grow with you. You want your industry to grow with you. You want to raise the bar. And we're now training other production companies on how to create safer sets. We are helping performers develop their brand in a way that's more reflective of who they are as a human, not who their caricature is or who the stereotype, has them. We are starting to look at different ways that we can branch out and create legs of film that we can direct, but perhaps we don't want to perform in, because we are listening to our audience and we are listening to the audiences just in our field in general. And it's like we don't have to always be the ones to to perform in it, to make it, and so I think we're trying to get our sea legs.
Get your director on now. Yeah. But that's going to be the longevity of it, right? That's going to be the longevity and the growth of it. And I really appreciate it when you said we are giving people the opportunity now to show them how it's done so that they can have better quality film when it comes to porn, because I feel like that's an area where people didn't really think that much about it when they put it together. It was like, let's just get a camera and do something versus let's actually tell a story. And it's still a story, right? Remember, like, people still need to feel turned on. They still need to feel sexual tension. They need to feel empowered. They need to feel satisfied and cared for, or whatever it is that they need to get from that in so many different ways. And so I feel like telling your story and how you tell your story is what's going to be the longevity of anybody that makes a film, to be totally honest with you.
That's real.
So but we're not gonna get all into the film stuff. We're gonna move on because people like crazy. I don't know why they just do. So let's talk about they just do. Let's talk about the radio. Let's talk about that, because so we have the film, I know we have the film, but then we also have Raw Fetish Radio.
Yeah.
Oh, that's just us talking our shit.
But wait, so Karen said she likes story. That's actually how we met, is on a podcast.
Really?
Yeah, I was on a podcast and I was interviewing King. And then after we sort of like, oh, okay, like, like I like you and I like you. Like, and then we had a spinoff. Remember, we were on for 30 minutes after the show. And we would just talk about like, sexy stuff. And so it's like, it's always been there. The radio show was there before the films.
That's true. We've been doing that for a minute since we would have to call in because we weren't in the same place.
Yeah. It was we were there around like our blog talk days. So, as I love the podcast world now. I think that is super cool. Really seeing people like really get they bag, through podcasting. And I love that people have so many different personalities, perspectives to check into. So yeah, we've been here for a minute and I don't see that going anywhere anytime soon. Recently, we've been delving into porn and politics, the intersections between politics and sex in all the many different ways. We've been exploring how policy has an impact on sex from the macro perspective down to in your sheets, what you allow to do, what you allow to say in your state. So that has
I love that you guys talk about sex so much in such a healthy way. I really appreciate it because I have this podcast and people like to talk about sex and that's great. But sometimes I'm just like, what the fuck are you talking about?
What else?
No, because they make it like this derogatory thing or this unhealthy thing or this something that just lackluster. Like sometimes I'm like, I can't talk to you because my brain is just not where your brain is right now. And so it's nice to hear people saying, okay, how do we live in our truth, but like beat down the barriers? How do we make this more holistic? How do we have conversations so that people could be healthier and make relationships healthier, make sex healthier? Like, because I feel like that's so much more important than us just kind of like staying in this corner and acting like we don't know anything or not evolving from it. So I'm sorry if I'm very passionate about that, but it be making me mad when people just talk to me about it, and it's just like, really, like, who do you think I am? Why are you talking to me like that? Like, this is crazy. It's crazy. I didn't go to school all these years to, like, you know what I mean? Like, and not looking at like where you fit in that and in society. And let's get into that too, like where you fit in society based on your fetish or based on your sexual orientation or based on the things that you like with a partner. Like, you know, what is the perspective of royal fetish when it comes to, you know, just people having healthy sexual relationships?
I think you get in society everywhere. You know, who you fuck, how you fuck should not stop you from doing any form of work.
Right.
You know, it shouldn't stop you from being able to be a good, productive member of society, upstanding person in the community, a great parent, partner, or son or daughter of somebody else. You know what I'm saying? You know, when it comes to kinks and fetishes, we always tell people, as long as you leave people who say no, children and animals out of it,
right,
and it's between consenting adults, do you live your life? You know what I'm saying? It's not impeding anybody else's progress or anybody else's life for you to enjoy pleasure. But I do think that because we come from this society where sex was used as control and sexuality was used as control, it still is in the back of people's minds what you can or can't do. You know what I'm saying? Because you're like, oh, if I do this, I'm going to hell. If I do this, I'm going to be ostracized. If I do this, I'm going to be attacked or oppressed in some sort of way. So a lot of people are afraid to just be themselves. But the people who are telling you not to do all these things are doing the 3 things that I told you not to do, or you should not be involved in.
All the things I told you don't do, that's what I'm gonna go do.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It's like, how are you gonna point the finger at people who are doing things consensually when you yourself are not? So I do think that is one of the reasons why people do want to talk about it more. People do want to express themselves more, because they have been swept, you know, under rugs and into closets and behind closed doors, things that they shouldn't be ashamed of.
Yeah, I totally agree. Totally agree. And I think people need to talk about it, because until we normalize it, it's going to be what it is. And so having these conversations, having the podcast, having your radio, having the film, taking up space, take up space.
Great example. I think we should be able to talk about it. And of course, there's a time and a place for everything. You know what I'm saying? If I'm ordering my coffee in the morning, I'm not going to be like, you know what I really, really enjoy in the bedroom to a complete stranger? That's not how it works. You know what I'm saying? That's why but the thing is, the people who are doing the wrong thing, Matt Gaetz, likes to vote against laws that would protect children from trafficking. Right. So it's like, you see the people who are then also trying to shame you for being LGBTQIA or something like that, who's pointing the finger about the supporting the Don't Say Gay bill and so on and such forth, is actually doing horrific things.
Of course. Of course.
Both in front of and behind the camera. So it's really like you who or us who are engaging in healthy ways and practices should not feel bad about it, because we know the time and the place to have those conversations and how to do it in a way that is safe for us and others.
Yeah. And as an educator and as a parent, I do think that you can't tell kids everything all the time, all at once. But I do think that they should understand who they are. They should understand who they are. And they should learn to be able to vocalize who they are at some point and be okay with that. You know what I mean? And so because you could force anybody you want all you want, but at some point in time, it is what it is, right? And so I think that, you know, even when we're like, yes, there is a time, I'm like, no, don't force anything on anyone. But, you know, as we grow and evolve, we got to understand that the world is changing and growing and evolving too.
Yeah, I mean, there's also, when you talk about normalizing sex, I think the more we are having these kind of conversations that make sense, that are relatable from the voices that make you feel comfortable. Like we just had a talk early today with somebody who is a pastoral leader, someone, you know, that's I guess a clergy person, you would say.
Right.
And so his audience is going to be really comfortable hearing from that voice and that perspective. But he was still talking about sex positive things. People like yourself that are educators, mothers, fire starters are going to feel really, really comfortable hearing from you and having a message that's sex positive. When you're talking about like allowing kids to express themselves, I think sex is so heavy, you know.
It is.
It's so heavy because our son will be like, I'm Spider-Man. Like, fuck it. All right, you Spider-Man. That's it, right? But if he said like I am, you know, Rainbow, it's like, oh my God, you know, why do we have to put so much weight on children expressing their own exploration of themselves in so many different ways? But it's only when it comes to sex and gender,
right?
People get so uptight, and that's really an opportunity, you know, for those who may be listening and thinking like, oh shit, like I do that. My kid has told me a million things, make believe, pretend superheroes that they are, but not until they said something that was particularly triggering around sex and sexuality did I freak out. That's really a moment for that person to check in with themselves. It's not the child.
Yeah, because I mean, a lot of the times, what is it that people are afraid of when it comes to, oh, well, if my child is gay or lesbian, then you won't have grandchildren? Like, that's, you know how selfish that is?
I know, but
like,
I think it's what Karen said.
They can still, no, like there's a time or place, but I think like a lot of times what's triggering for the adult in those situations,
it's about them.
It's about them.
It's about them.
Nothing to do with the child. They're like, oh, you're not going to carry on my legacy as my son,
or
you know,
shame. I mean, or shame. We could talk about it. Like, I got Jamaican parents, so you know, there's that whole culture bit that goes into that where there's shame and no one can know about this, and we don't want anyone to know, and what's wrong with you, and all those kinds of things. So it becomes, like you said, about them.
And again, to your point about place in society, right? So if these things will displace us from a uplifted place in society, that is, I don't want that for my child. I don't want that for my loved one. So if we start to show, and I think we've been doing a really, really great job, as great of a job as we can, at showing that people from all of these different backgrounds in their sexual proclivities that have absolutely nothing to do with us can be very productive people in society. Then we start to like, you see, little so-and-so can be little so-and-so and still have a great future, right? So thanks to podcasters like yourself and other people who give folks like King and I a space to show, like, we could string a sentence together. We have very thoughtful films. You know, we are.
That's real though. That is really real.
Take care of our families. We we are very considerate of not being terrible people when we order our coffee in the morning, like those kind of things. I think it does help people understand that you will not lose your place in society if you are liberated in your private space.
Yeah, I love that. So let's talk about some private space. You guys you're going to Costa Rica.
Yeah.
We are.
What's happening in Costa Rica?
Say that again.
What's happening in Costa Rica?
What is happening in Costa Rica?
What is going to happen when you get what is happening? What are people doing in Costa Rica?
We are taking a very intimate group of people. Pretty much most of them, I would say like they have never really met each other, but they are all
they're all strangers.
They all share.
Okay, so we're taking because you gotta break this down. So we're taking a bunch of strangers to Costa Rica.
This sounds like the beginning of a reality show.
We've done.
I feel like the camera needs to be on, y'all.
However,
we are not filming.
We're not filming it.
It is private.
Okay.
The thing that they all share in common is their interest in kink and fetish. So we are going to be doing workshops in a space. Like a lot of times, like let's say someone comes out to an event or goes to a dungeon party or something like that. At the end of it, you do have to make sure that no matter how much subspace or dom space you get into, you have enough left to drive home. right?
Right.
Or take the train home,
Right.
right? So in this particular situation, everybody is they're gonna have their own room or a shared room. So you can expend all you can expend, and all you got to do is be able to drag your ass in the bed afterwards. Or if people are comfortable with it, you can lay your ass out in it. But it's also going to be in a space where we're not going to be stuck with nonstop Wi-Fi and all this other service. You're going to
Right.
be able to clear your mind. Know that the other people that are around you are not there to judge you. They're there to uplift you in your fetish and kink, and truly dive into what is pleasurable for you, what is not pleasurable for you, what would you like to explore that's a little different, what would you like to be spanked with today. You know what I'm saying? There's a whole lot of different things we could get into with it.
So what we did is we accepted, we had an application period, and we accepted a host of applications and went through each one and was like, oh, this person would be interesting with this person. And this person has a lot of experience. This person's experience might blow us out the, this might be a liability. And so and really, people had to share what their goals were, why they wanted to, where they are in their kink journey, what they were hoping to get out of it. So we're really curating the folks that are coming, and some folks are waitlisted for trips that might be a little bit more their speed. We are inviting our guardian, Glutosaurus Rex, to help support with everyone being allowed to stay present and in the moment, but respectful of what everyone, again, what their goals are, what their boundaries are. And it's gonna be good. And then just being, for a lot of people, Costa Rica was on their bucket list of places that they wanted to visit. So we're going to have some time to do an excursion in a way that's respectful to the land and to the people that are, to the Costa Rican people. So we're not going to be, some wild out crazy Americans coming in causing problems.
Right. Yeah. I love it. I feel like that's such a beautiful opportunity for someone to be like, you know what I did once? I went to Costa Rica with a bunch of strangers. It sounds crazy. It sounds crazy, but after just coming out of COVID and us being locked down for 2 years, I feel like people should be living their bucket best lives right now.
Yes.
And so if that's
depending on how close y'all are is how much they'll be able to share with you about Costa Rica. It might start off like, yeah, I went to Costa Rica.
Who'd you go with?
And that's it. But if y'all close, they were like, I went to Costa Rica with King and Setting Jasmine, and
I feel like, but again, there's a lot of ways to tell that story. You know what I mean? It could be a verbal conversation, but I think it would be nice if it was just like black and white photographs, or if it was a Costa Rican gallery walk where it was, just audio of music that was playing there, right? Or just shadows of people. It doesn't have to show their face. Do lighting and shot. Come on, y'all know I know how to do this. Just do lighting and shadows. Or it could be, so there's a million ways. There could be people journaling the whole entire time. You know what I mean? And writing their own, sexual novel that's taking place in real life. So there's a number of ways.
Put that application in.
There's a number of ways to tell a story where you're saying it without saying it. That's all I'm saying.
True.
And so it might be good for your next one to be like, you know what, this is how we curated this experience, so that it's not film, it's just a collection of other modalities of saying I'm not saying, but I'm saying I think
we'll come read them to you next time when we come back.
Yeah, I think I'm big on reflection. While I'm working on getting my yoga license right now, and I'm big on reflection because I feel like when we're in the moment, sometimes we're in the moment, and I like people to be present in the moment. But reflection's really good, and so opportunities to reflect afterwards is going to be really interesting, and those might be interesting stories for people to share with themselves. Like everybody got a journal. Go reflect on that. Was you happy? Was you sad? Was you not? All right, what are you going to do different? And the same way we set goals in our regular lives, you set goals in your sex life.
That's right. That's right. And for a lot of people, they are definitely meeting they're being very brave, and I'm not saying like the trip because it's going to be like wild or crazy. It's just that they are betting on themselves. They are investing in themselves.
Yeah.
And it is really a beautiful thing. And we do not take it lightly that people are investing in themselves with us and trusting us to create that space.
To like lead them in this new, in this new space. That's dope. All right. Well, I don't have that much more time with you because I know you have to go. Let's talk about these toys and then where everybody could find you. And then I won't hold you hostage anymore. So let's talk about the toy brand really quickly.
Okay. So King and I decided to do a totally for us by us move, and create a toy line that, as sex workers, as people that are in kink, as people that use sex toys, enjoy sex toys, sold sex toys, wanted to create something that is also a part of our legacy. King's and I'll let you talk about it more. Your toy is incredibly personal. It is such a part of like who you are sexually. And then you bring that to other people. Tell them about you.
Tell them.
Jasmine says it so nicely.
I
know no matter how much of a hoe I am, I can't fuck everybody. So what I needed was my toy to act as my what's the word?
Your surrogate.
My surrogate out in the world to fuck the people that I just can't get to today.
Right. Here you go. I can't get to you.
I can't get to everybody.
Respectfully.
Or while I am fucking them, they could use it in another hole. I mean, there's so many ways that we could rock with it. But no, I think it was a lot of clients that I had and fans were just like, I want to experience you. And I was like, I would love to be able to have my own toy, but some of the companies, they kind of like, I don't know, they use like a cookie cutter. So like no matter what, it's the same, even though the two individuals that you're claiming this is from are completely different human beings.
Right.
Like,
and probably died about 45 years ago.
Yeah. So I also wanted to make sure that whatever company I was working with had something that was both bodily safe and environmentally safe. Because I didn't also want my dick print to be a giant carbon footprint at the same time. So
the world appreciates you.
I you know what I mean? Gotta protect the earth. But so we wound up partnering with Lust Arts, who made sure that the toy has my veins and has my, it's me and my unique skin tone and all of that. And then Jasmine was like, you know what? I got a million ideas. Right. And Jasmine has now come up with something I think is genius. Not just the insertables, but also edging bands, which some people will refer to as cock rings, but cock rings also are very specific. An edging band can be used on a cock.
However you like.
We don't even use that word. So it can specifically be used on a dick. But it can also be used on arms. It can be used on legs. It could be used around the neck if you could fit it over, and all kinds of a mouth gag and all these other things, because it's about edging your pleasure. Jasmine introduced having Braille on toys, which is, and I love the way you put it. It's like it's the sexiest language because it's all through touch. You know,
it is.
And also with her line, it's different densities, different sizes, different curve to it, maybe, so it's like it's a full pleasure experience through all of like Jasmine's ideas, you know what I'm saying? And now also we have Jasmine's Garden coming out for everybody who is interested in knowing what taking a dive in Jasmine's Garden is like.
Because unlike King, I do not want to fuck everybody. And there also is not this long line. And if there is, they know better than to tell me.
Yeah.
But, so the penetratable. It's a sculpture. It looks like a piece of art, and when you turn it over, it's my vulva, and you can penetrate it. And I asked King to share with the designer what it feels like to have sex with me, so that the inside could be designed by someone who actually spends some time up there.
So you can have heaven on earth as a piece of art in your house.
This is just genius.
So, but listen,
y'all are geniuses.
Here's the other thing. Like, all of these nice words are really, really wonderful, and these explanations, and they are important. This is really like how we sat down with Lust Arts, which is a woman-owned, queer and kink-friendly company, and super, super earth-conscious company. But the other thing is that, like, so many people are creating these toys that don't use them and have no idea how people enjoy using them. We've been to the toy factory before, and it's just like literally a toy factory. It's white labeled. It's like you said, something that was made 20 years ago being made in a different color with somebody else's name on it. And I mean, that's fine. A lot of the products that we use in this world are like that. But it was important for us that for other sex workers who are building their toy box to have a toy that's going to last their career, that they can go from a small size to a large size, because a lot of times people think like, oh, you peg someone, you got to get a big dick, and you got like, no, that is absolutely not true. You want to keep your clients, you want to have a line that, you know, that they can grow with. We wanted to use something that's sustainable, and it was just really, really important that we are people who have sex, enjoy sex, encourage other people to have sex, that we created a line that people could feel good about. Like, I know the people that were behind this, and I know that they actually use what they create. Like you see in our films, we use our own toys. And you can't say the same for a lot of people.
And also now we have our own impact toys as well. So we have, you know, floggers, we have leather straps, we have floggers made out of everything from chain to rubber to leather, because a lot of people know us for our flogging technique. So, you know, we brought that as well. And now also Jasmine has a very important book that she is coming out with. Speaking about writing.
Yes. So as you were saying, like reflections, a femdom journal is on its way to help people have a space, like a guided journal to help them in their journey of femdom, and the space to reflect on how that journey is going. And if
I'm getting that. I'm getting it.
Awesome.
I want it on my Christmas list.
Yes. So we recently just went into a small store, a sex store up in New York, and I let King know. I was just like, I'm so excited, because every single department in that store, Royal Fetish Films has or will have a place on the shelf. Like, I don't, not necessarily this particular store, but just like, we have really spent the last 11 years cultivating our place in the sex industry, from film to workshops, education, having fun, and also now like products that, you know, will probably outlive us. They will, because they're made really well.
I just want to say that I don't know you personally, but I have been following your journey. I am so proud of you both. It's been even more of a pleasure meeting you and getting to sit and talk to you, and just the vision and your thinking and who you are as individuals, and then who you are together, to be able to just bring all of this to life and manifest it into something. And when I sit and talk to you, I don't feel like you're just talking to me. I actually believe you. And that's hard, because I'm from New York. Like, you know what I mean? And I think everybody full of shit, but it's not personal. But like, I really believe, and I see the journey, and I see the work that you're doing, and how invested you are, and how passionate you are. And I just love to be able to watch you two grow into fruition with all of this. Because like, yes, we can talk about sex and you empower people, but it's so dope that in you doing that, you are empowering so many other businesses and organizations, and the earth and the lotion and all the, you know what I mean? And no, because I talk to people sometimes and they're selfish, and they're just like, I just want to do this. And that's great. I love that. I love people with passion. But to be able to say, you know what, we're gonna bring all these people into the film work we're doing. We're gonna look at sustainable. We're gonna go to Costa Rica and spend money with the people that need us to spend money there. We're gonna, this is bigger than just what's sitting on your lap. And if you where I'm sitting, I'm like, oh shit, this is dope. Like, look at these people doing this.
Thank you.
So I always give my flowers when it's time to give flowers, because I live like today present. I'm not waiting for 2 years of lockdown to tell people that they're dope. So I wanted to share that with you, because I really feel like you're onto something bigger than probably you can even imagine right now, because there's so many spaces for you to just be in and take up. And I'm gonna be clapping. I'm gonna be clapping the whole way there.
Thank you.
So I am going to let you go now. Thank you so much for being on Save Loud Podcast. Tell everybody where can they find you? Where can they follow you? How do they order? Where do they watch videos? All that good stuff.
Yes. Okay. JetSettingJasmine.com for all the things. You can start there, and then you could just go. I'm on all social media as Jet Set Jasmine.
I am banned on most. The Real King Noir on Instagram, at King Noir on Twitter, if it exists tomorrow. But definitely go to royalfetishxxx.com to see our films. And when I say our films are different, they range from shot by a fan to shot with a drone. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like it encompasses everything, because our sexuality can change and expand and grow. And that's what we want everybody to do with us. So definitely go check it out.
I just want to say that Tumblr came back for one day and he already got banned from
I already got flagged. I got flagged already. You know what I thought it was? I thought, because they was like, yo, Tumblr is allowing more adult content now. So I made sure that it was a nude picture taken by a photographer. It wasn't like I just did a selfie, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Artificial intelligence made a difference between it. Was just like, oh, this clearly was done by a photographer.
I mean, it was a very well shot dick pic. No,
with lighting.
Yo, it had
respect.
It had soft focus and shit.
He's like, I'll put a filter. I don't see the problem.
I definitely tell everybody, if you wanna check out jetsettingjasmine.com, it gives you every level that whoever you are, there's a level for you with our work. So definitely start there. And
if you want to start at the top, go to King's OnlyFans.
Jump down Jasmine's rabbit hole.
I definitely think if you're listening to this podcast right now, that you need to go to this website. For the people who are like, oh, I'm interested, but I'm nervous, go. And like I said, put your toe in the water, then your foot, then your knee, and then you'll fall in and you'll be fine. You'll float. Yeah, because, people just...
Jasmine has put her toe and her foot.
And my foot. That's it.
And your foot, you didn't get up to the knee,
No. He was a short guy. Y'all go see.
you gonna see. So you're on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. They can follow you on any of the places that don't ban us, because Instagram be acting crazy sometimes. And then thank you guys so much for sitting in and hanging out with me. I appreciate you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.